Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, it is I am the one and only Tiana here once again, and I'm back for yet again for the likes of the Maxi Toys videos once again. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for some more of Let's Play of The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening, specifically Link's Awakening DX for the Game Boy/Game Boy Color. So, last time, we have basically managed able to done quite a few side quests here and there, and on top of all that stuff though, we finally managed able to wrap things up in terms of the forms of those secret seashells we just somehow found, and as a result, we've managed able to get ourselves our upgraded sword. So that means we are extremely powerful. So because of this though, combine that with the forms of the red tunic outfit, alongside with the forms of that particular item we constantly pick up throughout the majority of the forms of Kulut Island, and also on top of all that stuff though, we have managed able to, well, got ourselves the upgraded sword. So today, for this video, is the fact that we're going to be hit on to the forms within the 5th dungeon in the game, and this time we're going to be hit on to Catfish Mar, or Catfish's Ma. I think that's what it says anyway. So yeah, it has been a very long while since we actually just managed able to explore through the forms of certain dungeons in this game so far. Because obviously, because of how the fact that the last time we left off in terms of dungeon progressioning, that is the forms of the Angular's Tunnel. So either way though, despite the fact that that particular boss fight is very pathetically easy and stuff like that, almost to the point where the fact that he doesn't know what he was about to be doing in terms of attacks, all he does is just swimming up and down, and that's pretty much about it, and it's just so laughable sometimes. But thankfully though, on the Switch remake though, it'll make things a little bit challenging, but regardless of such though, it might be still easy aside from that. So anyways though, let's get ourselves the compass right here, so just in case we can able to actually see, you know what I mean, certain treasure locations, assuming if we do need to get ourselves the dungeon map first. So either way though, everything else will be pretty much accounted for. So anyway, so let's just go ahead and do another 2D section here, while simply trying to able to balancing those little scales right here in order to progress. And in fact, I have no idea why I just somehow managed able to do all that stuff for some reason. But anyway though, let's just go ahead and make our way from here, such as like that. And of course, we've meet up with the forms of those specific familiar enemies, and these appears to be like stealth foes. So yeah, everything else will be pretty much expected at this point. So anyway, a few things I want to explain for this point today while this is going on. Today's day, as I mentioned this before, that this particular thing is going to be scheduled upload during the forms of today, which appears to be the Saturday of the forms of, well, 24th of September today. So, or in some cases though, yeah, it's specifically, you know what I mean, Saturday the 24th of September today. So anyway, so a few things we want to explain while this is happening during that day. Because the reason why we have decided able to do for this next part of this game during the course of being today on Saturday as opposed to Tuesday and Thursday, because like what I said this before countless amount of times, basically though, we'll let Pac-Man try to able to finish up with you know what I mean, Donkey Kong Land 3, and join at some point until tomorrow, just in case we're able to get that specific end of the week off. So, well, I don't know what you're able to say for this point, to be honest with you guys, because it has been 2 days ago since I actually last played this game for surely, because, obviously, because of how the fact that we just want to get these, Let's Plays finished before we move on to the next bunch. So anyway, and there's also short things to worth noting for is the fact that we've only got about next week until we move on to the 10th month, which appears to be the October. So yeah, that should be pretty swell, I have to say. Especially noticeable because, well, relatively speaking though, is the fact that I think this is where the point where basically the time zone is going to get slightly backwards, for the sake of the forms of when it gets to, like, specifically by the end of October or something. So anyway, so let's just go ahead and continue our progressioning here, and for the sake of time, we'll just try to able to get rid of these enemies as much as we can, including some of these stealth foes right here, so we can pretty much guarantee we can able to actually just get them cornered. So because for the most part though, you have to able to just, you know, try your best able to actually just to corner them, so that way you can get the best chance that you can able to actually deal with these guys no problem. So but sometimes they might have felt a bit kind of annoying to deal with sometimes, especially noticeable because, well, relatively speaking though, sometimes they always are trying to able to dodge your sword swing attacks and stuff like that, but regardless of everything else though, oh snap, here's the forms of the actual Stealtho himself. So basically though, is the fact that, as you can tell, in order to deal with this boss fight, I'm presuming he functioned the same way as the forms of how it does it in A Link to the Past or something. Basically though, is the fact that if you're trying to able to do a bit of a sword swing attack at him, and then basically if he just starts to be doing crumbling, basically in order to deal the damage, basically though, we need to able to use bombs constantly in order to deal the damage on him. So, but as you can tell, he's not dead yet, because, as far as I usually recall, basically we need to able to fight him for about not once, not twice, not 3 times, but 4 times. So, yeah, we got able to keep on doing a lot of backtracking here. So, and speaking of such, we got ourselves the piece of power, so this means we are now unstoppable when it comes to dealing with all kinds of enemies. So, that should be pretty swell, I have to say so for myself here. So, oh jeez, there's nothing in there. So, yeah, I guess we should probably be able to keep on moving along, huh? So anyway, another thing I would like to explain is the fact that, well, I cannot even believe by saying this, that it's been about a year ago since when My Little Pony, a new generation movie on Netflix has been recently came out, for the sake of the forms of the Netflix app. So I can't even believe it's been about a year ago since when it's, you know, when it first released. So despite that, it's a bit, I remember back in the day that when I first watched it, about a week later, because obviously I need to get around on that specific time, whenever when No Time to Die did first came out during about almost about a year ago. So as a result, that I somehow managed able to watch a new generation movie first, before we dive right into No Time to Die ever since about a year ago. So anyway, oh, and by the way, with these guys right here, basically you have to use those magic powders in order to able to get rid of these things. So that way it doesn't harm you or anything. Well, usually it might start to harm you if you're not careful, so. Anyways, let's see in these parts, of course, some more hearts, which I do like, because obviously, in addition to able to, well, decided able to get our full health restoring, but also we can able to actually access to Sword Beam as well. So that way it'll make things a little bit more easy for ourselves, especially noticeable if you're trying to deal with some of those aggressive enemies, as you can tell. So, oh, and of course with those guys too now too. But I don't think we can able to deal with these guys for quite a long while, until whenever we get our another familiar item we can get. So, either way though, that might be seems much. So anyway, another thing I would like to explain is the fact that out of nowhere, that it's been about like a couple of weeks ago since I actually last heard about the forms of the actual information on the Wii U and 3DS. Basically out of nowhere, that basically though is the fact that, relatively speaking, that there was actually an update that did somehow manage to pop up. Like, for instance, at the moment right now, that, well, it did manage to happen about a few weeks ago, mind you. The Wii U update is now on to version 5.5.6, so, yeah, that's sure it's something. And as far as 3DS is concerned, it doesn't matter which specific 3DS models you get. Basically, it's now on to version 11.16.0-48. So, I think my guess why these updates exist is most likely because of the forms of the actual changes of the eShop applications between those two devices. Although, still, you can still technically add those funds until by the end of March 2023, mind you. That's basically though, you can able to actually use the Nintendo Switch eShop apps, and then basically add the actual the funds, and then basically just try to merge with between either the Wii U or the 3DS family of systems or something like that. Well, mind you, it has been about a couple of days since I actually last played my not only my 3DS but also the Wii U systems itself as well, because, well, like I said before, I've been busy playing a lot of my Nintendo Switch, so, because you know what I mean, Nintendo Switch is doing super well, especially noticeable because, well, hopefully we will able to actually hear some more sales numbers until specifically by that time until November time. So, but we'll see what happens there. So, well, it looks like we've met again, King Stalfo right here, so we can able to actually deal with you again. So, with those blocks, as you can tell, basically we need to able to find those rooms correspondingly of how the fact that you can able to actually just battle against with those King Stalfo right here. And then basically, here's how it goes. You need to find the first room that does manage to retain 1 block, and you have to find the second room which contains this 2 blocks, and then basically, as you saw, we've already managed to duel against with you know, King Stolfo for the sake of the forms of the third room that does contain 3 blocks, and now we need to find him on the final room which does manage to contain 4 blocks. So yeah, that basically summarizes as such. And as you can tell, the boss room is just not that far, I don't think. But we'll try to get around into it though, until whenever we're able to deal with, well, all kinds of stuff first. So, and as you can tell, we've managed able to go ourselves our dungeon map now. So either way though, we can now able to actually go whatever rooms we want to go to. But of course, we do need that specific item we do need to get, specifically for that chest over there. And along with over there too. Well, it might be seems a bit possible if I was gonna able to do a bit of a fastest method, but it might not likely gonna be possible, I don't think. So anyway, yeah, because as a result of that kind of stuff though, is the fact that, oh, and another thing I would like to mention is as well, recently during the Forms event yesterday, if I recall, that I suppose I've completely forgot to mention about ever since in a couple of days ago. In addition, when Maxi also forgot to mention about this ever since and during the course of the Super Mario 3D All-Stars in the Super Mario Galaxy game, basically, we actually got ourselves a new game that did recently came out yesterday, which, by the looks of all that stuff though, it appears to be the Shovel Knight game, which as a result, it is Shovel Knight Dig. So, because originally that game was supposed to be released during the Forms event last year, but of course it's been delayed until now. Well, it finally came out recently today, as far as I meant to say, because obviously about the fact that the game finally came out, so yeah, it's actually pretty swell. And I got no comments for this point right there, because, well, I believe most Shovel Knight fan-made or fans will be expecting to able to be super relieved about the game finally came out. So, anyways, let's go ahead and backtrack for a little bit because, well, as far as you can clearly tell for the sake of time, basically we need to able to go through here and basically just trying to able to go through serious amounts of those platforming segments from time to time and trying to able to actually just find the actual room that does contain 4 blocks. So yeah, we can basically just deal with all that. But first off, I need to get myself, oh sweet, we got ourselves the piece of power again. So that means we're able to be unstoppable as long as we don't get hit so many times. So alright, so we'll just get rid of these crystals here, so just in case we need to find some more hearts to pick up. And also on top of all that stuff though, we can pretty much guarantee we've meet up against with, well, King Stolfo for the final time in this particular dungeon as far as this is concerned. So again, rinse and repeat, and that's basically all you have to do for this entire mid-boss as far as this is concerned. So yeah, not that much of a challenge if you pretty much know exactly what you're about to do. And if it starts flashing, this means he's basically down for good. So there goes that. And from here, we actually get ourselves a familiar item from the likes of A Link to the Past, which appears to be, of course, the hookshot. So, hookshot makes a return ever since in, as I said before, A Link to the Past, where basically you once again able to actually use the hookshot for not just by the forms of trying to deal with certain enemy encounters, but also you can able to actually use the actual hookshot for the sake of the forms of, well, trying to reach certain places. So yeah, that's actually pretty super dope and everything. Oh, and by the way, something's worth mentioning is the fact that I sort of made a mistake for that particular mid-boss's name, by the way. His true name was actually known as Master Stelphos. So yeah, forgive me if I somehow managed to botch things for these specific boss names and stuff like that, because again, as I mentioned this before, it's been about you know what I mean, 2 days ago since I actually last played this. Especially noticeable because well, you know what I mean. We just want to get this game finished before we move on to other Zelda Let's Plays in the future. And also, for the sake of the forms of other Let's Plays needs to be doing, for the sake of the future times. So yeah, just like in A Link to the Past, you can also just manage to able to use the hook shot for that particular chest over there. So that means we can able to reach certain spots. So that's actually super, well, it's efficient anyway. So yeah, that's actually super cool and everything. So anyway, another thing I wanted to point things out as far as this is concerned, unfortunately though, one of those app games, specifically made by Nintendo of all things, Dracula Lost, has officially confirmed about the fact that with all this entire service is about to end. Basically, first off, that particular game will set to able to close up the shop, specifically whenever you're trying to buy some microtransactions and stuff like that for the sake of in-game purchasable items and stuff. Unfortunately though, that will be closed until the 11th of November, in this case the Remembrance Day, or specifically like, yeah, Remembrance Day in general. So because of this though, yeah, it's kind of unfortunate that particular shop option for that particular game is about to close. Well, and also during the forms of that particular game itself too, actually. Eventually, until by that time, until by the end of the November time, for the sake of the forms of this year, it's gonna end service until 30th of November. So that'll be before around Christmas time. I know for the fact that that game has been out for quite some time now, for about 4 years and stuff like that, roughly so. So, as a result of that kind of stuff though, yeah, it seems kind of sucks that that particular game is about to end services and stuff like that. And I'm pretty sure that just like in Dr. Mario World, basically does the fact that it'll just shows us the actual error screen. So yeah, because it seems to be more specifically about the fact that with that particular game, as I said before, alongside with Dr. Mario World, presumably about the fact that those two games didn't last for very long because of the forms of poor sales. So I totally get it with the forms of the actual poor sales reception. Well, it doesn't matter about the fact that, well, it's hard to explain because it's been a very long while since I actually mentioned something like this. So anyway, so let's just go ahead and dodge these specific enemies, including these little slime-like stuff. And from here, this is where we're able to come across into the familiar boss ever since in The Legend of Zelda 1. This what appears to be Gorma. So, but unfortunately though, remember the forms of when you're trying to play Zelda 1 on the NES? Basically though, is the fact that in order able to deal the damage on Gorma, is the fact that you have to able to use the bow and arrow in order able to deal with the actual mid-bosses as far as this is concerned. However though, I still don't have that yet, especially noticeable because, well, relatively speaking though, I still need to grind for some more rubies and stuff like that in order able to buy, you know what I mean, the bow itself. But as soon as I found out that hook shots were able to actually just deal the damage of the Gormos themselves too. So at least I'll give it a shot though, especially noticeable. It might take a bit of a while to able to get into that stuff, but I will try my best with the actual hook shot and stuff like that, so. And yeah, from the look at the forms of the hook shot itself, it's actually shaped a little bit odd. Well, at least presumably so anyway. So as you can see, if you use the hook shot on the actual Gorma, basically does the fact that it deals some bit of damage. So yeah, that's actually pretty cool, especially noticeable that thankfully we're not on soft lock or anything like that, because I couldn't imagine how the fact that if we get to this point, while we didn't actually get ourselves the hook shot to begin with, then it'll be a painful process if you don't know what to do, so yeah, basically, if he opens his eye, basically it's your chance to attack him, but here's the thing, you need to be very careful of his specific attacks. Specifically, if he decides to able to shoot projectiles at you, basically though, you do need to dodge that. And then if he manages able to start to like rattle around or shake up a little bit, basically he'll try to able to charge right at you. So either way though, you have to be super careful of not to get hit by these Gormos for quite some time, so But relatively speaking, it's actually not too bad when you get the hang of it though. Especially noticeable again, if you have hookshot equipped, then you probably deal with the alternative way for dealing with these guys. But there we go. We got ourselves another glorious fairy that we actually restore our health from. And of course, there's a warp pad, so that way you can able to warp back into certain spots where you left off with it stuff. And of course, we did somehow pick up the actual arrows, despite the fact that the arrows didn't show up on my item inventory just yet, because obviously, like I said before, hopefully by that time until by the end of this video or something like that, I'm hoping we can probably get ourselves the bow and arrow if we can. So, anyways, let's go and use the hook shot on the specific heads, so that way we can able to actually just climb up. And of course, I'm not exactly sure where I'm about to go, but I will try my best to able to figure out what I'm supposed to be able to be doing, because I just have no idea why I somehow backtrack a little bit. So, but at the very least, I did manage to get myself my full hearts again, so that should be alright. So, oh, and another thing too is the fact that let's talk about the forms of that specific topic until by the time when, well, as far as I mentioned this before. Although, before I get into more details onto that though, unfortunately though, one of those games in particular, called Bomb Rush Cyberpunk, is officially going to be delayed until summer 2023. Not exactly sure how that game plays out to be, because, well, I haven't exactly looked upon that much gameplay footage and stuff like that for that game, sadly, just because, well, I just have no interest in for playing it. So, anyway, another thing I would like to point things out is the fact that, in regards to the forms of that particular anniversary game coming up during the forms event tomorrow, yeah, let's talk about the forms of the Mario Kart Tour quickly, because, well, relatively speaking though, despite the fact that, like we said this before so many times in the past, that I've found the game meh. Like, usually still meh as this. Because, well, let's get to the forms of, another thing I would like to point things out is the fact that, relatively speaking though, recently about that time about the fact that, well, despite the fact that we actually got ourselves, oh, son of a, I really hate that happens, especially because, again, if oh, there's actually that little, thing we can able to actually swim for. Are these, like, bloopers? Okay, I have no idea why those bloopers didn't manage to exist in the first place, but, okay. Like, they actually move like the exactly the same, thing as the forms of bloopers themselves, so that's actually something. But anyway, yeah, because, tomorrow is gonna be the 3rd year anniversary of the release of Mario Kart Tour on the smartphones. So, and as far as when I play the game after 3 years and stuff like that, how does it hold up? Well, okay, still, I will have to admit it though right away, the graphics themselves do look absolutely gorgeous, especially if it plays on any other, like, upgraded smartphones and anything else to be more specific, especially noticeable because thankfully on my iPhone 8, that thankfully has no flaws whatsoever, so, relatively speaking though, because it feels a lot better than the forms of how it does it on iPhone 6, because, Jesus Christ, I think my game always crashes every time when I begin a race or finish the race in iPhone 6, because I think it's not be suitable when it comes to playing the game on that device. And as far as I'm aware, also the soundtrack is actually nicely to listen to, especially noticeable we can able to hear the familiar classic tunes from the sake of the forms of the retro tracks returning. Although the new tracks music is actually alright, but I'll have to admit it though right away, I think I'm pretty much used to with the forms of the new remixed music, based off from the forms of a Mario Kart 8 Deluxe version of those specific tour-based tracks, because, well, obviously, that I really love the orchestrated parts of certain music throughout, so, but that's just my taste anyway, though, and, well, usually it's as far as I can say about it. And, also the character roster still looks very, expansive for the sake of the forms of how massive it is for the entire character roster of the game itself goes, despite the fact that some of them are new, And some of them are just like alterations of cosmetic characters and stuff like that, which is nothing right to home about, aside from giving you, you know, different items and stuff like that. And aside from that, that's pretty much as far as I can usually say about it. And also, I do really like the actual, you know what I mean, it has gem-packed with content, with all the character roster like I said before, but also gem-packed with all these card parts, and some gliders as well. So yeah, that's actually pretty interesting, alongside with the forms of those Mii suits here and there as well, despite, you know, it doesn't have that much Mii suits or anything based off from Nintendo themes here and there, but that's besides the point. And on top of all that stuff though is the fact that, relatively speaking though, I do really like the actual mission structure, despite it gets a bit stale and repetitive every once in a while, because obviously you're doing the exactly the same categories within, ranging from time trials, which I don't mind, and also smashing small dry bones, which is a bit difficult at times because, my lord, the control still sucks. And I just still wish if they were able to actually have a controller support, so that way it makes the game a lot more comfortable to play. Well, assuming if the game will last for quite some time. Well, if depending on the forms of the actual, which specific year, will that game will able to actually just to become like, I don't know, end services or something. But either way though, it's a bit too early to predict at the moment because, well, as far as we already said this before, we actually on still in September so far, so yeah, I guess that begs the question for this point, so. And on top of all that stuff though, is the fact that we did somehow manage able to get quite a good bits and bobs here and there for the sake of the forms of Mario Kart Tour so far. That is the fact that, well, recently we got ourselves some returning tracks based off from not only Mario Kart Super Circuit, which it did happen during the forms of in the Bowser Tour, surprisingly, but also with the forms of another Team Rally tour, which I'm still not a big fan of, which I'll explain more details onto that. And as far as I'm aware, they did bring back Bowser Castle 3 from Mario Kart Super Circuit, which is nice. But the disappointing aspect about this though, is the fact that not only because of how the fact that, well, usually relatively speaking, it's just the fact that not just by the forms of, I don't mind the track layouts because it's the exactly the same, course track as the forms of how it does it on the original version, along with the Wii version counterpart as well. But the entire background never changed. Like, literally, it doesn't change at all. Like, it's basically the exactly the same background as they used for the sake of GBA Bowser Castle 1, and especially noticeable with Bowser Castle 2. Well, mind you, about the fact that we didn't get the Bowser statue in the background for the sake of the Bowser Castle 2, unlike, you know, the GBA version or the Game Boy Advance version and the DS version here and there. So, I have no idea why, what's the point of able to actually reuse the exactly the same background as in Bowser Castle 1 variant? Like, I just don't get it. Maybe I might be biased, especially noticeable because I'm more accustomed to the forms of this very, very awesome looking, you know, the background for the sake of Bowser Castle 3 from Mario Kart Super Circuit, along with Mario Kart Wii version as well. Although I'll get into more details onto that specific complaint later, because, so, you are the outsider. Oh, am I? Come to wake the windfish. Hee 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 hee, I shall eat you. Alright then, bring it on then, whatever you are. Oh, good lord, what is this? Oh jeez, he actually ate 4 pieces of the wall. Anyway, basically here's the entire boss fight in terms of dungeon number 5 as far as this is concerned, and this name was Slime Eel. And basically all you have to do in this boss fight is the fact that this is what the hookshot comes into play, and basically you get out able to find him, and then if you do find him like that, basically you have to use the hookshot, and then basically for that heart right there, that's his weak spot. Although the only difficult part about this boss fight, and this is considerably as one of the hardest fights in the game by far, and that is the fact they have to be very careful of that particular spiky ball tail. And then if you try to able to use Rock's Feather and stuff like that, then you probably deal with it okay. But you still need to able to have an option to able to attack something like a sword or something. So as you can see, you got able to keep on hitting him quite a few times. And eventually the boss starts to get a little bit aggressive, especially noticeable when if you get to later on. But I will say, the challenge on this boss fight is certainly a lot challenging than the forms of the angular fish himself. Because obviously the angler fish didn't stand a chance, so... But sometimes it might take a bit of a while for this boss fight sometimes, because he always liked to able to actually do a fast, quick time reaction timing for the sake of the forms if he either shows up, or even just disappears like that. And then basically though, you have no breathing room if you manage to able to aim for its specific segments worth loading for. But, yeah, sometimes this boss fight can get a bit tricky at times. Ah, so close. Especially noticeable, you need to get a very, very good angle for the sake of the forms of trying to utilize the hook shot to begin with. So, yeah, that's another reason that this boss fight can be difficult at times. So, but I digress. But when you get the hang of it though, it might not be too bad, all things considered. But what if first time I played this, oh god, he's out. He's out! Oh, I see. So now we need to able to get him out for quite a few times, because I'm pretty sure that he'll be divided into segments or something, so... Because obviously we already dished out one right now, and then we have to deal with another one right here, so is that supposed to be... Oh, okay, so there's gonna be more than that, so... We've done two, so oh, is that it? Huh, I don't see, okay. You don't seem to know what kind of island this is. Hehehehe. What a fool. Hehehe. Okay. So, anyway, let's get ourselves the next heart container, which now we're on to, I would say, 10. So, yeah, 10 heart containers, and also we've got ourselves the next instrument, which is Wind Marimbo. I think that's what it says anyway. It's a bit like a saxophone more than anything, so... Well, I may be wrong, but it surely feels like it, so... Shrine. An island secret. In the shrine. Alright, so that's the next destination we need to hit on to. So, yeah, before we get into that though, we need to, although first off, I think we can probably say this right now, we can probably start able to grind for some more rubies from now on, because as you can tell, we've almost had 980 rubies to grind through, so, hopefully we'll try to able to grab as many of those rubies as I can, before we're able to get ourselves our next item throughout, so, for my inventory for the sake of time. So, anyway... So yeah, let's get into the forms of that. Another negativity about the forms of Mario Kart Tour itself is the fact that, well, relatively speaking, I'm still not a big fan of this stupid gotcha moment, and it's just the fact that every time when I was hoping to get a new driver and stuff like that, and it's so tedious. And on top of all that stuff though, is the fact that I'm getting so sick of the forms of getting those stupid common stuff, like common baby characters and common Koopalines and stuff like that. I get it for its level up system, but every time I was hoping to get something rare or something special or anything else like that, like new characters and stuff like that, I'm just so sick of getting the forms of that stupid common stuff, like literally every single time. But anyway, enough about that complaint. Yeah, I just have no idea why they messed up with my nostalgia when it comes to the forms of the background, stuff like this, so... Oh, and by the way, with this mermaid sculpture right there, basically though, if we're trying to able to, like, I would say interact with it or something, because I can assure you, it might actually give you something a bit more valuable or something, so we'll just give that a shot. You put the missing scale in a mermaid statue. Ah, a secret. Ah. Alright, interesting. So, I wonder what this gonna lead us to. Oh, wait a second. Oh, look at that! We got ourselves another item right here, which is of course, the magnifying lens. This will reveal many things that you couldn't see before. So this means it's kind of like, when if you're trying to find something that you've never found before, I guess. despite the fact that I haven't exactly played this game for some time, ever since the Switch remake, along with the forms of the 3DS Virtual Console re-release as well. Although I highly doubt, I don't know if I might as well get the original cartridge version of the game still, just because I might be worried about the forms of that godforsaken dead safe battery for every now and then, because, well, everyone seemed to have a lot of bad luck with all that, you know, save data issues, so... Anyway, and also they managed able to, for some reason, bring back the N64 racetrack, which appears to be by the forms of, surprisingly enough, Luigi Raceway from the likes of Mario Kart 64, because the last time they did manage able to reuse that track was actually by the forms of Mario Kart 7 from Shell Cup. So yeah, that's actually interesting. Although, the only difference is this time is the fact that, well, they just go into like a new Super Mario Bros.-esque visual style or something like that, which I'm not exactly sure how do I explain this, because, well, I just keep on and on and on with all that, you know, the issues I have with the forms of that particular game itself. Not this game, but the Mario Kart Tour game I keep on about. Especially notable because it makes me feel like dry for going back onto Mario Kart 8 Deluxe for some time. So, for its DLC department or something. So, anyway, so now we're done with that. And now we'll go ahead and go straight into this particular segment. And sure enough, there was actually that particular breakable, thing we can now able to blow up for using bombs and stuff, and exponentially we can able to hit in here, and sure enough we're able to actually just to hop on to the those other segments here. Oh, and another thing I'm not a big fan of when it comes to Mario Kart Tour itself is that I still really think that the controls are still sucks, which literally every time I drift and every time when I was trying to use items and all that stuff, I still keep on getting myself some massive onages for the sake of the forms, so not just by the forms of controls themselves, but also the random item frenzy system. And on top of all that stuff though, the online did mess me up a little bit, especially noticeable about the fact that, well, it's just there are quite a few laggy moments here and there, but thankfully it doesn't lag too much from my iPhone 8, luckily. So it's just the fact that it runs very smoothly, but it's just the fact that every time whenever I was trying to race against with somebody, mind you, we did have some fun from time to time, but it's just the fact that there are a few rare occasions where about the fact that there's going to be a lot of, like, cheating moments here and there. Like, I wasn't first at that one time when I finished the actual race itself, but the game confused me if I was going to be on second place instead of first, which it kind of reminds me of the forms of Mario Kart 8 a little bit, so... yes, that's a bit of annoying sometimes, especially because that usually happened to me quite a few times, so... Anyway, so as you can tell, that I was expecting to able to get myself the next piece of heart, but it turns out I do need that specific special technique I need to do, and that, before we get into that though, we need to go ahead and grind as many of those rubies like I said before. So I think I was off by 25 so far, as you can tell, that we actually on to, oh, now we're on to 956 and 97, or 57, sorry, and, yeah, I think that's as far as I can try to explain about the forms of today's discussion at this point, especially because, well, let me tell you, whenever when, Nintendo decides to able to end the service of Mario Kart Tour, I'll be very dang relieved. Well, at least there are some good parts here and there, like I said before, but a lot of those positives end, and it's just the fact that it's become noticeably worse as the years pass. Especially noticeable because, well, relatively speaking though, well, I was looking forward to it back in the day, thanks to the forms of, well, whenever I saw the beta version of the actual game, despite the fact that I haven't exactly played the beta version back in the day, because, well, complications, I guess. And on top of all that stuff, though, it's just the fact that, well, I'm just a little bit worried about the fact that if some of those microtransactions become true, then unfortunately, it seems to be the case. Because I know for the fact that, I'm gonna say this again anyway though, I'm pretty sure, that most people really did miss the old days where basically in order to able to unlock specific characters with their special conditions, yeah, I did miss those days as well, especially noticeable because, well, remember the forms of in Mario Kart Double Dash or something like that? That basically you have to able to unlock Toad and Toadette with the special condition by going through, I would say, let's just say for example, if you're trying to win the special cup on 100cc, you're able to actually not only get yourselves a Toad card, but also Toad and Toadette. So, and also say applies to, I would say King Boo and PD Piranha, alongside with the forms of that pipe card. That's basically though, you need to able to beat, I would say the Mirror Star Cup as far as I'm usually concerned with that stuff. So, yeah, although I may be wrong, but regards to such though, I think that's as far as I can try to explain about this. And, also another example of this is the forms of in Mario Kart Wii, where, basically, in order to unlock Daisy, is the fact that you have to win a special cup on 150cc, and then if you're trying to unlock Dry Bowser, or Baby Daisy, or I would say Bowser Jr. as well, you have to able to unlock those characters in order to able to get like 1-star rankings in one of those cups in particular. Like, let's just say on the neutral cups. Basically, you will get Baby Daisy for 50cc, and if you do the Retro Cups in 100cc for 1-star ranking, you get Bowser Jr. And then only forms of him 150cc, you have to get Dry Bowser for getting a 1-star ranking on each and every single, like, neutral, you know, cups, ranging from, you know, Mushroom Cup, Flower Cup, and especially noticeable with, well, Star Cup and Special Cup, which, you know what I mean. So, yeah, I could totally see why a lot of people miss those days for its special condition requirements for unlocking characters and stuff, so. But let's just hope until likely next year in 2023 we'll go back into its original roots for unlocking methods and stuff like that, hopefully. We're not exactly sure when, though. But there we go, folks. We've got 980 rubies, and now we can finally spend the bow and arrow, so that means we don't have to be worried about the forms of trying to be thieves and stuff like that. So yeah, that's actually pretty awesome indeed. Especially noticeable, again, if you somehow run away with it though, without paying that much insane amounts of rubies, everyone will call you a thief, and because of that though, you get an instant game over if you do so. So anyway, so now we've actually finally got the bow and arrow, so this means we can now able to do a bit of a special technique by able to actually just to get ourselves a next piece of heart. So, although first off we need to able to walk around a little bit, so yeah, I think that's as far as I can say about the forms of today's discussion. Again, I would like to mention something more, but I will promise you guys, and during at some point on Tuesday and Thursdays potentially, then we can pretty much guarantee we can able to mention something more, so don't worry. Anyways, let's head back in here, and hopefully we'll able to actually just to shove this rock over there, use the rock's feather to like jump over those pits, and we meet up with this segment again, and now we need to be able to use, no, not Ocarina, I meant the bow and bombs, and then this will actually happen. If you press A and B at the same time, voila! We can able to actually attach the bomb with the bow and arrow and just, well, break the actual rock itself. And from here we get ourselves another piece of heart. So, yeah, nicely done. Especially noticeable because, well, I think, relatively speaking, we actually almost done with the forms of those pieces of hearts. So, I think so far, we only got 3 heart containers left, and 2 pieces of hearts left. So, yeah, we almost done, folks. We are basically almost done there. So, but, mind you, there are quite a few parts that might overstay their welcome or something. Well, specifically if you're trying to deal with certain, you know, item switching, mechanic. But regardless of everything else though, I think that's as far as I can try to muster and stuff like that. So, anyways, let's move that and get out of this cave. And although I was originally going to be able to actually just do the final bits and bobs for its item training, but I think I should probably save that in the next video. So in this case though, yeah, I think we should probably ending stuff at this point right here, right next to the signpost. So join me next time for more of Let's Play of The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening DX. That is the fact that not only we can pretty much wrap things up with the item training, but also deal with the next dungeon here now as well. So I'll see you guys on Tuesday. Later, fellas.